So in case you couldn't already tell, I finally got a new lens. A little bit of a wider angle, so now I can more comfortably hold the camera out and get a better shot, as well as showcase things in tighter spaces. So I guess we'll get started with the explanation for what I'm going to be up to for the next little while. Where do I start? So this car has no heat. It hasn't had heat since when I did my first swap on it, non-turbo, years ago. And I think it's time to finally get heat back into it. So the stock heater core, which resides under the dash somewhere on the other end of here, it blew on my first drive after the first swap of this car. So the heater core is a major pain to deal with on these cars, because you have to take half the dash apart and this and that. Anyway, so I just looped it back on itself. I'll try and showcase that here. Right here, there's a hose. I'm not sure if you can see it, but that used to go into some hoses that were here. Right here, and yeah, there's nothing going on here anymore. So what I'm gonna have to do is pretty much complete custom setup. The reason being is because when I did the wire tuck on this car, I put all of the wiring here in behind this little access panel here. And what used to be there were the fans for the HVAC. So it'd pull fresh air from here into, like, through the heater core and then into the rest of the car. And now I can't have these stock fans there anymore. So now I need to come up with something. I don't have the unit I'm going to be using, but I will insert a picture here of what it is I plan on using. And so that leads into what the first steps will be. So the first thing will be to pretty much remove the entire dash, or at least the lower section of it. So I'm going to start with the whole center area here, getting that all out of the way, and then take it from there and see what it takes to get the stock heater, or the stock air box out, I guess is what they call it. Heater box, HVAC box, whatever it's called. So that all needs to come out to make space for the new unit. And the new unit, there's so many different aftermarket ones of different shapes and sizes, and I'm going to need to take some measurements to see what's going to fit. And while I've got everything out, I'm going to address all of this terrible rat's nest of wiring here. It all works, it's just not very pleasant to look at. So I'm going to, once I have the dash out, reroute a lot of the wiring to just make this all better. So, and the main tool of today will be this guy here. And this is a labeler. It connects to my phone and I can type in whatever I want on it. So the plan with this is to label all of the wiring that I'm going to be unhooking so that it'll be a lot easier to connect things up. Another thing I've done here is I had this little 3D printed template. So one of my pastimes or hobbies, I guess you could call it, is like, I guess, 3D modeling. And something I've been doing for quite some time. I'm not an engineer or an expert by any means on it, but I can make things. And the idea is this is a frame based on some measurements to figure out what the sizing will be to make a panel to go here, because that's where the inlet and outlet are going to be feeding the new heater core. And so I made this little frame to avoid wasting any plastic, just to make sure it fits, and then now I'm going to continue to design a full piece that will be taking up the space there. And I'll show you guys that when I get to it. Probably going to have to readjust this angle at some point, but it's the best I could come up with for now, so it'll have to do. So, what a pain that was. I'm sure it wasn't in correctly, but we'll fix that now that it's out. So I'm making progress. Got all of this stuff out of the center here, taken off, and radio is out. Now I'm just taking the whole bezel area out for the radio. So next I gotta take the OBC out and then unplug a few things from behind the HVAC controls. A little tough to see this, but ready to hopefully just pull this piece out. There was a bunch of clips all around the sides, and then there was two 10 mils, one here, a Phillips in here and in here. So it's kind of coming loose, but I'm gonna need both hands for this. To be honest, I have no idea how that fit in this area, but it's gone forever and I'm never putting it back. So I want to say it's half the battle, but the heater core is out. This is it here. Giant void. So next I'm gonna get these little pipes out of the way. I kind of want to start cleaning up the wiring, but I think I should wait until I have more space. And I'm going to continue digging and seeing if I can remove the last bit of the airbox. So I'm currently trying to figure out if I can pull out the box without pulling up the upper dash. So I'm just in here, got the glove box removed, started labeling things, and now I'm just trying to see what I can get at to remove the box. So here is the mess. Let's see, you can obviously light peering through here, but now that is straight through the firewall. Huge mess. Finally got the whole heater assembly out, and it's a big piece, but it came out in a few smaller pieces. So this is the section that would go in between the firewall and the rest of it. That was the last piece that came out. Here's a better look at everything. There's a lot going on. Lots of bits of leaves that have probably been there as long as I've been alive. And a whole bunch of room here now to work with. So now I can take the measurements of this whole area, some light here, and figure out what kind of universal heater box I can make work in this area. And now that this is all open, I can properly route all of the wiring that goes to and from the gauges and the ECU and all of this stuff. So I may have crawled down a rabbit hole, making this project a tiny bit bigger than I was initially planning, but I think it's gonna be for the better. So let me show you. Let me explain. So here is what looks like a mess, but is actually pretty cleaned up from what it was. So what I've decided to do is reroute my ECU wiring from being just on the other side of here, on the outside in the engine bay, to the glove box. Got the light. So I'm planning on mounting that to like this is my ECU here. I'm planning on mounting it to the roof area above the glove box, and then this way I'll have a lot easier access to the ECU if I want to ever add any more gauges or change anything else. It's also going to be keeping the temperatures of the ECU down. One thing I didn't like about having it in the engine bay is it was pretty close to the turbo, so I would imagine it would get pretty hot. So another thing I did is right here. Made this little cardboard template. So let's get a better look at this. So this cardboard template is as dimensionally accurate as I could make for the universal heater core that I'm planning to purchase. So the heating element, where the actual core of it will be, is this lower section here. It's, I think, about half an inch wider on either side because there's some brackets that are going to jut out for mounting. Anyway, so there's that. The inlets will come in from the side, well, inlet and outlet on the side here is where the tubes will be. And then this whole rear cage area is where the fans are. So with this cardboard model, I was able to get some idea for whether or not it'll fit. So let's get back in there. So this is basically where the heater core is going to reside. I'm probably going to end up putting it tucked right up against here. And I know it's a little bit hard to tell, but this black plastic area from here to here is actually the inlet for all of the ducting underneath the dash. It supplies the air to these vents, this upper vent here, the vents for the windshield, and the vents here and on the side. So it's pretty surprising how well it actually fits there. And I'll just need to build a little bit of ducting just to seal off all of the edges. But what I'll probably end up doing is just having it snugged right up and then close it in on the overhang. There's about probably about 1/2 of an inch of overhang on the outer edges, but it's covering most of the area, which is awesome because this is the upper face here is where all of the air is going to be blowing through the heater core inside of here, and then the fans will be in this lower section here. It's also really nice. Let's go back to the outside of the car. It's nice because this is where the inlet of air comes from, is this whole area here. So I will be able to build ducting to feed the fans, which would be right in this area here, fresh air, almost exactly how it would come from the factory. And here is where the ECU used to be. I don't know what I'm going to do with this area. I was thinking about maybe relocating my water meth injection setup to here instead, but again, with the heat from the downpipe here pretty much going straight to this box, I still have some planning to do. The only thing left in here right now is the MAC valve for boost control and the fan relay. So I'm probably going to end up moving the fan relay in the glove box as well to be closer to the ECU. So I'm going to be ordering the heater assembly very shortly, and as soon as that comes in, then I'll be able to have a proper idea as to whether or not it'll work out. I'm pretty confident it will, and once I have it and I can start visualizing it where it's going to fit, then I'll be able to tuck up the wiring where it needs to go and continue to tidy that up. Also got a whole bundle of massive wiring over here too, which I can clean up in the meantime and take it from there. I know it's not super exciting just yet, but it's kind of the steps of doing these kind of modifications to a car. There's kind of some boring steps until you get to the end result, which is the most rewarding part. So I have some parts to order, and as soon as they come in, then I'll be able to start on recording part 2. So stay tuned.